Hello. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Tamil Selvan.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam.
Good
I
afternoon.
think I am the lone participant.
Yeah, and it's 2 now. We
Yeah.
may wait for 5 minutes, but in these 5 minutes, I was just going through your information, your DGM corporate, right? Thermal Power Station, Rajasthan.
Yeah,
Electric.
DGM Electrical,
And
yes.
you have 30 years experience, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So, did you get any opportunity to do any kind of small or big research while in service?
No, basically, I have done some for the project works. Few project works I have undertaken for this
Technical.
my MBA program.
Acha,
So
okay.
for that only, but it is not. It is purely for fulfillment of this requirement, not for in a more systematic manner.
Okay, okay. Right. So some
That
data
is,
collection, some
yeah,
inferences, some
yes,
conclusions,
inferences.
and based on that,
Yeah,
some decision making,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Yes. So two more have joined, Ganesh Ram and Mansa. We were just discussing whether you have got any opportunities to do any research and implement that through decision making.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
if Mansa, you have any such experience, you are from Bangalore IT, computer
Yeah, ma'am.
engineering.
I'm from the IT sector, so I think I think research is a major part of my job role.
Okay.
Primarily because we have deliverables, ma'am, pretty much going out every month. So even if it's not like a research for like human cause or for the external consumption, it's for the client's sake, right? I work for the artificial intelligence division. So whatever new features gets released, it always involves a lot of research and identification, figuring out how to actually present this data. So there's always some amount of research, or the data collection is always there. That is the preliminary step for my job role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So shall we start now?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the third module or third session. First, we invested good amount of time because many concepts were new. We will do second and third combined, and I will share the PPTs of second and third combined because many concepts are overlapping. Though this module, number 2, says only one thing, scientific method in research. Some research terminologies I have listed down, and then we will see the process of research. I think we have started with the number 1, that is problem statement. Am I right? Last time when we left, by that time we had started the problem statement. The simple meaning of problem statement is that, or the objective behind is that, if we do not have any problem, any curiosity, any opportunity, don't do the research. Many times research is reactive only. Sometimes it is proactive. When it is proactive, it is opportunity based and it is curiosity based. When it is reactive, it is problem based. But by and large, whether it is curiosity or opportunity or a problem or issue itself, all is called as a problem, right? So from that point of view, let us understand a problem statement. The word statement indicates it is not in a question form. It is a statement form. So in 2 or 3 paragraphs, problem is narrated and then the research starts. So it is the clear expression, as it is said, about a concern, about a condition to be improved upon, a difficulty, a troubling question. Now, by frequently, you will come across the word question. Right now, problem and question treat as same. Okay. In the 5th unit, we will deal with the difference between research question, research problem, questionnaire questions. These three terminologies are different. So, but we will deal that in 5th one because there are some reasons. Okay, because right now, if I go on telling you the difference, you may get confused and it may look very complicated. Right now, for you, a problem and a question means the same. Now, from where we have to find out the problem? Those who are working, they come across a number of issues and challenges. Those are the problems themselves. So if you look at the list of 5 points below, 5 sources of research problems, you will find number 2 as personal experience. So you are seeing that there is attrition, or regarding launching a particular project, many technical and behavioral issues are coming up, or customer satisfaction, or consumer behavior, or footfalls are less, or whatever. Whenever there are issues, how the issues are to be identified. Number 1 is interviews. These may be very light interviews in the form of a chat, or it may be a serious interview. In the 4th unit, we are going to study the interviews in detail. It may be focus group interviews or individual in-depth interviews. Then personal experience, as we have just seen. Interdisciplinary perspectives. So every issue from research point of view doesn't have only technical contents. Many times, as you majority are very experienced, you will find that fully technical knowledge people may have, but because of some behavioral things, there are issues. So it may be regarding industrial psychology, it may be regarding industrial sociology, it may be regarding the philosophy, that is ethics and morals and other issues. So interdisciplinary perspectives, deductions from the theory. You may be having curiosity. We have seen in the 1st unit only that these are certain models, these are some theories, these are some principles. So Fayol's principles or Maslow's theory or whatever, whether the same lessons are applicable today. So deductions from theory, relevant literature study. This is the best and the required essential for defining the problem statement as far as the research in education is concerned. Whether you are doing PhD or you are doing some research at PG level, that is for you also. And if you are writing any research paper, for that this number 5 is a must. but it is not the only. You can add all other things. Okay. So this was regarding the research problem. You may find, so see, problem identification, problem selection, then you have to define the problem. All this is called as problem formulation. Another image. So curiosity must be there, problem must be there. You may see the problem through your observation, but you need to collect the data and you are to go ahead. So in detail, how to identify. When you are going to do the research for your research project. So brainstorm the possible topics, your own interest, general interest, or some subject interest, what ambiguities you may find, what curiosity you have, reflect on your experiences, what challenges you are facing. Then have the discussions with your colleagues, your managers or bosses, or your mentors, your teachers. Go through the databases and brainstorm. This explore topic ideas is a site. This also gives you few ideas. Then gather the information, that means the literature review, and basically find out the gap. This research is done, but this is missing. This is our third unit, which we are going to deal with today only. So how to do that literature survey or review of literature and how to find the gap, we are going to see it today. This is a detailed explanation about formulating a research problem. It is repeated in different form, but still I have brought it because you need to write exam paper. So you should have some more material. Therefore, it is there. Once I share it, you go through, and still if you have any difficulty, let me know next time. We are talking about module number 2, and in that research terminologies. First one was research problem. Second is rationale of research. Simple meaning, justification or purpose, or giving why analysis of what your study, why you are going to do the study. It may not be just one why, a number of whys explained is your rationale for research. Sometimes it may be called as significance of research. So through that, what you are going to contribute, what you are going to focus on, what kind of literature survey you have done, what problem you have identified, and after solving the problem, what impact you are going to make. All this is called rationale of research. Next terminology is objective. Objectives in research language start with 2, and lesser number of objectives the better. Why? Because all the objectives that you write are to be fulfilled. Please note and remember, these are not the objectives relating to the matter of the topic. That means, for example, your topic is attrition in IT industry. These objectives are not regarding solving the problem of attrition or objectives behind controlling attrition. It is not that. These are the research objectives. For example, to study the concept of attrition and the related concepts. Number 2, to understand what factors contribute to the attrition, to explore the impact of attrition on maybe productivity, on efficiency, on effectiveness, on training budget, or whatever. So, by and large, these terminologies are to be used. You can use the same for your project. This first one, do you remember the concept secondary data and primary data? Though this is the matter of fourth and fifth unit, still these are the basic concepts. See, secondary data means the data which already is existing. Primary data is the data which you have collected. Okay, that is through interview, through survey, through observation. Now, when we say objective number 1, to study, we study with the help of obviously secondary data. So generally, the first objective is secondary database. That means through literature study, you are to fulfill that objective. Number 2, to understand. To understand, suppose go to the example given below. To understand the financial health of the company. Have you got on the same slide? At the end, example number 2. To understand the financial health of the company with the help of ratio analysis. This you can do through both. Number 1, secondary data that is available in the company, that is available in the books, correct? And to some extent, maybe primary data. Now look at the second objective there. To understand how ratio analysis helps in financial and management decision making. This completely talks about primary data. Some secondary data may be definitely used from the books, basics. Okay, but you want to know to what extent so and so companies' financial managers use the ratio or ratio analysis for their decision making. Look at the objectives above only, the start of the slide. So to study, it is secondary database. To understand, secondary plus primary database. To explore, it is majorly primary database. And for your project, you need to have both the bases, secondary and primary. So lesser the better, precise the better. Don't use extra words, very less number of the words, and your title and objective must be in the same line. Same line in the sense, same words you are to use. Sometimes the research students get confused that we are using the same words again and again and again. But yes, the title, objectives, and now after some time we will go to hypothesis. All these will use the same words, but the writing style will be different. Okay, so example is given. The topic or a title is a study of interrelationship between stress level and productivity amongst bus drivers and conductors. So to study the stress level of, now here, from here only primary data starts, but secondary data must also be available with the department regarding the leaves, regarding any other internal survey they may have made. Then study of symptoms and causes of stress. This you can study with the help of books and some research papers, so secondary database. To study the stress management techniques, again secondary database. To study the impact of stress level on productivity, this is completely primary database of the, suppose, Pune Municipal Corporation's bus drivers and conductors. So it is completely primary database, that is survey through questionnaire and interviews. Now three exercises I have mentioned then, but we will do that if only time permits. First example, or you can take the screenshot or photo, and you may solve it and you can share it next time. If time permits, we will revisit this. Title given is Study of Present Status of Employee Empowerment in Selected IT Companies in and around Pune. What you are to write is objectives. And you know how to write objectives. Number 1 is study, to study. Number 2 is to understand. Number 3 is to explore. And right now we are not studying hypothesis, but in the slides after some time, you will study hypothesis also. So along with objectives, set the hypothesis also. Okay. Example 2, here objectives are given. What you are to do is, you are to frame a title and hypothesis. Do not written and hypothesis. What are the objectives given? I have read while explaining the previous point. And example number 3, frame the hypothesis on the above two exercises that I have already told you. And the warning is given, objectives and hypothesis should always reflect the title of research and should be in sync. Okay. We will come back here if time permits. We are talking about research terminology. Terminology is 4, 5, 6. We have already studied that in unit number 1, because we were talking about some concepts and all that. Okay. Just to revise, we have 2 times revised it, 3rd time now. DV, that is dependent variable, is the topic of your research. It is the problem, that is, it is the effect. And you are to identify the causes behind that. Those are called as IVs. IVs are in big number. DVs are generally 1 or 2, maximum 3. So your problem is the effect, that is DV, and the causes are IVs. This also we have studied last time. The extra variables, which are not at all very much important, are extraneous variables. They are generally the environmental related variables. Now, the term precision and the next term confidence. These are completely statistics-based terminologies. And when we will study in unit number 5, then only you will understand it. But still, I'm not a statistics person, so I won't be able to explain that to great extent. But if any one of you understands it more than me, you can explain it in unit number 5. Once I will share this within a day or 2, you go through, and if anyone knows this better, you may explain that more. Precision and confidence. These are the statistical terms that are used for giving the reliability about the data, about the questionnaire and all that. Now, hypothesis. Last time, I think I have done one hypothesis. For example, I-Studies postgraduate diploma students of paper 12C are intelligent. This statement itself is a hypothesis. So hypothesis is a statement which looks reasonable but needs to be proved or disproved by organized research. So even though you like this statement, other students will say prove it. Correct? So the statement which apparently looks reasonable but needs to be proved, obviously with data, either only secondary or only primary or only with the combination, is called as hypothesis. Right? So it is a specific statement of prediction. And what is written below? It must be precise and clear, stated in simple terms, no complicated words. because each and every word in the hypothesis needs to be proved. When I say you are intelligent, first of all, my first objective has to be to study the concept of intelligence and types of intelligence. Because intelligence you understand and we understand. But when we talk of research, even though we know this term, we need to analyze this term. And then we may come across that intelligence has basic 8 types, then n number of types. Then I will have to write the limitation that out of the 8 types of intelligence, the research includes, suppose, only 1 type or 3 types or 5 types or only mental intelligence, that is IQ, or so and so types of intelligence. So your hypothesis must be precise and clear, stated in simple terms, and may propose a relationship between 2 variables or a state of variables, namely dependent and independent variables. So I repeat, dependent variable is the effect and independent variables are the causes. So relationship between that is to be established. How to build a compelling hypothesis. So discussion, as we do in case of problem statement, broadly same, discussions with colleagues and experts, examination of records or data. So problem, review of similar studies, similar problems, exploratory personal investigation, interviews and all that. So all the methods that you have used for problem statement, broadly the same are used because at the time of making problem statement, you go through the literature and sometimes you may get ready-made statements in the books or in research papers, which can be used as a hypothesis. So right side of this slide, state the problem that you are trying to solve, ask the research questions. Now here is the difference between problem and questions. As I have said, we will see the difference in unit number 5. But to give just a hint, problem is one problem, singular. It is written in paragraph form, 1 or 2 paragraphs. Ask research questions. Questions are in question mark form. And these are 5 W's and 1 H. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm now going to give you the research questions regarding my hypothesis that you are intelligent. My first question. Generally, research questions are around 10. Some questions are to be solved with the help of secondary data. Some questions or major questions are to be solved by primary data. So my hypothesis is that you are intelligent. My first research questions. What is intelligence and what are the different types of intelligence? Next, what is the difference between the intelligence of children and grown-ups? What type of intelligence is required for professionals? All 3 questions were secondary database. Next, when I'm saying you are intelligent, I will have to measure that. So my next question, how is the intelligence measured? What are the techniques used for that? Are you getting? So 5W1H, who, when, what, where, and all that, and how. Research problem is written in a paragraph. How will I write the research problem regarding your intelligence? First paragraph. While writing the research problem, you are to go from macro to micro. I will write probably like this. Intelligence is required, or I may not use the intelligence right now. Mental abilities are required for doing any kind of task. Along with mental abilities, many other competencies are required in professional field. Only IQ is not enough for doing justice to your career. So I will go on first paragraph. I will go on exploring the concept of intelligence. Now in the second, I will come to the problem. It is found that Indian education system gives the importance to the mental intelligence, which is essential and which is developed through variety of subjects like then mathematics and a number of logic and a number of subjects I will write. For a professional, a number of competencies are required, and in simple term, intelligence is required. The researcher is curious to know what level of intelligence do the professionals who have joined the PG diploma are having. And therefore, the researcher tries to, or researcher has set the objectives like that. Are you getting? So research problem is a narration. And research questions are in question form, single questions of 5W1H. So we were talking about compelling hypothesis. So state the problem, ask the research questions, gather information, list down variables, then try to write the hypothesis, make sure it is testable, revise the hypothesis, and then create the null hypothesis. Now there are two types of hypothesis, alternate hypothesis and null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is required for statistical purpose. When higher level of statistical analysis you are doing, then only you need null hypothesis. Even the PhDs under me have not used null hypothesis many times. But what is must is alternate hypothesis. What a hypothesis I have made regarding your intelligence was alternate hypothesis. In simple words, alternate hypothesis is a hypothesis which is made without using any negative words. So you are intelligent, so and so students are intelligent is alternate hypothesis. How to convert that into null? 12C paper students of PG diploma are not intelligent. It is null hypothesis. Statistically, null hypothesis is required. But you don't just focus, you just focus on alternate hypothesis for the time being. Okay. Alternate hypothesis, last point, it is narrated in the form of HA or H1, and null hypothesis short form is HO. Okay. When you will study the research paper, after my 5 content, someone else will teach there. For data analysis, interpretation, though I will teach the concepts and all that, definitely. For discussion and results, you may come across the null hypothesis. So we are up to now, we have seen the research terminologies, and now we are going to the research process. 8 steps process is given in your background material. It doesn't mean that the world over it is 8 steps only. Different authors frame it in different manner. But all the basic things are covered in these 8 steps. And as you are giving the exam of ISTD, you follow all these 8 steps. Okay. The first one is research problem, which we have already covered. Okay. The second and third comes in the research process. This is a part of our third module, that is today's content. And therefore, second and third module we are studying together. When we talk about research process, in the syllabus, the word scientific method terminology is used. And therefore, I thought it right to talk something about what is scientific method. Here, scientific doesn't mean laboratory or much experimental and all that, which is logic-based for acquiring knowledge, preciseness without any ambiguity that is done, that is called as scientific method. So number one, post-testable question. Here, the word question means a problem. You will find the word question and problem alternatively used in all the research literature. Okay, so pose a testable question. So ask questions as research questions and find out the problem. Conduct background research, state your hypothesis, design experiment. Experiment here means your methodology of what kind of secondary data, what kind of primary data you will use. Our next unit is on research design. So in that we will see this fourth point. Design experiment means develop your research design. And number 5, collect the data, draw the conclusion after analyzing and all that, and publish the findings. Of course, this will depend on what kind of research you are doing. So scientific method, its characteristics, experiment should be possible, consistency, observability should be natural, must have predictability, must have testability, and tentativeness. Now this is a confusing word. In behavioral science, or when you are studying training and development, much behavioral science is in that. So whatever scientific method we use, it is not physics and chemistry. And therefore, some room of tentativeness still remains. This is the meaning here. The least room for tentativeness should be there. So, research process, step number 1, research problem. This we have already done. Now we are going to step number 2, review of literature. See, this is the literature. Secondary data, primary data. Secondary data, you always, generally people forget the internal sources. They focus only on external sources. Let us see external sources first. In that, there are public sources and private sources also. Public sources means books, articles in the form of research papers in research journals, business journals and research journal. There is difference. Business journal and magazines. These may not be completely research-oriented matter related. For example, our Harvard Business Review, or the issues of Indian management, or the magazines or journals that are devoted to your technical area. Those are business journals and magazines. Beyond that, there are research journals where only and only research papers are published. Then websites, a number of websites. When you type anything on Google, many websites are there, but there are special websites also. We will see that. Then conference proceedings, reports of government and non-government organization. These are always helpful. whatever topic of research you take, some government ministry and department is attached to your topic. So all these ministries, all these departments, they do a lot of research and their reports are available. Same with some NGOs, non-government organizations, they do a lot of research. For example, Maratha Chamber of Commerce, or your so-and-so productivity council, or the organizations devote, non-government organizations, their associations devoted to a particular cause relating to your topic, their reports. Then private sources in the external information, some autobiographies, diaries, letters. Of course, this will relate to the, of course, topic related if it is relevant. These are external sources which are available for anyone in the world. Now, internal sources, we are talking about secondary data only. That means the data which you have not created, which is readily available. So it is the reports and documents and database which internally in the sample organization exists. Sample organization means if you are doing the training and development system of Infosys company, then Infosys company's internal reports and documents and policies, rules and regulations and budgets and n number of things relating to training and development, that database or that data will be internal source. Correct? So your sample organizations data, internal data. So daily to annual report, audit reports, event report, policies, and n number of things. You are just to check which kind of data you want. So this was secondary data. We are talking about literature. Okay, so this is the literature. Okay, coming back. So literature review is an overview of the previously published work on a topic, right? It is a scholarly paper. Scholarly paper form or may in any other form it may be. Okay. So literature review, how it is done: select a topic, search for the literature, develop the arguments, survey the literature, critique the literature, and write the review broadly. But in detail, we are going to see that. The end of the left side matter says, for doing the literature review, learn how to collect, summarize, and analyze key sources on a topic. In schools and colleges, you always had language papers, correct? And in language papers, there used to be a question on some matter used to be given, 2 pages or like that. And you were required to do the precise writing, 1/3, make the 1/3 of the matter. If you had done that well that time, if your language command is good, this may prove interesting and this may work very easily for you. Okay. So why review of literature is done? Confirmation of the research topic. You have some ideas in mind, or based on your experience, you decide to do the research and you want to know whether the real issue exists or not, whether it has potential for research or not. So confirmation is through the review of literature, confirmation or otherwise. Rewriting the objectives and hypotheses, deciding scope and limitations. Next is very important. For your research, when you are to do the survey, you need to develop a questionnaire. which we are going to study in unit number 5, module number 5. So for developing a questionnaire, you need a number of variables and subvariables. So when you study the literature, when you will start reading the research paper, the articles, the books matter relating to your topic, a number of variables will come across. You are to go on making a list separately. Next, getting conceptual clarity, that is a must. So literature study is the beginning of any research. I was talking about intelligence. So intelligence is a day-to-day term, but when we are doing research, we need to explore that. And then we come across that there are n number of meanings, n number of types. So we go on getting conceptual clarity. After that, we go on getting insights into the topic. And every research should give you insights so that your decision-making becomes powerful. Your emotionality in professional and individual life goes on decreasing and your rationality goes on increasing through research. And the main reason is the insights that you have got. Finding the research gap. This is the important technical importance of review of literature. Because whether you write a research paper or you do your project, whatever topic and title you have decided, one justification, one point of justification is you are to prove through research gap. For example, a lot of study has been done on intelligence of professionals, but no study on intelligence of professionals doing a professional course. It is not done. This is my research gap. But right now I am just saying this. I will have to prove. I will have to find the research papers. And I will say, suppose there is the one study done in Germany regarding the intelligence of engineering students from so-and-so college or so-and-so province. Then I will write the strong points of this research, what kind of variables are used, what objectives were used, what hypothesis was done, and at the end, I would say what is not done in research. That is called as research gap. Okay, we will see that in detail afterwards. In research process, the step 3 given in your background material is research gap and hypothesis. By now, you must have understood that research gap and hypothesis must be in line. Rather, hypotheses are to be framed on the research gap only. So, unanswered part of the literature is the gap, and on that gap, the problem is there, and that problem is to be resolved through your hypothesis. Correct? There are 4 types of research gaps. We will see that. Number 1, classic literature gap. That means a new concept has come, new phenomenon has come, new software has come, new context has come, new module or model, new theory, new principle has come, but no research has been done on that. That is classic literature gap. Disagreement gap. Some research definitely had been done, but these researches are giving contradictory findings, contrasting findings. Examples are given. The disease is there. For example, corona. The causes. Research has been done, but the causes that are found seem relevant, but still the strong proof is not received. Or the attrition causes were identified, on that the decision making was done, new policies were framed, new reward recognition and engagement systems were developed. But after implementation of these new systems, new incentive system, new initiatives, there is very, very less effect on attrition. So again, doing literature review and then again going for the new hypothesis. Contextual gap, absence of research in a specific context. For example, in so and so population, the study is done in, suppose, study on the intelligence of professionals is done in US, but not in India. Correct? So specific age group, specific gender, specific population. Some geographical area. In some time period or 10 years before the study has been made, but within 10 years, technology has been developed to a large extent, or the study is done before AI, now after AI. So time period, contextual gap. And methodological gap, it is relating to research design, that only secondary database research was done, or primary database research was done with the help of survey where the sample was 400, but in-depth interviews were not done, and therefore insights into the issues were not found. So regarding the research methodology, some gaps are there, right? So 4 types of research gaps. Now, how to first of all identify? Because there is, you may remember our first session, and in one of the quotations, it was mentioned, there are many kills on the information highway. Remember? Huge and huge material is available everywhere. So loads and loads of information, the number of research papers, number of articles, number of PhD theses, everything is available. But now, how to start them? So start with keywords and related keywords. Attrition, IT industry, like that. Find reference material. So you will find some literature reviews, some meta-analysis, some systematic reviews and all that. Recent journals, recent dissertations, PhD thesis, and in number. Then databases. We will see the databases in detail after some time. The famous and popular databases. Then you will come across n number, and then you will decide where to use what. Then look at the limitations section of the previous research studies. Limitation sections. Limitation, remember here, doesn't mean your limitations. It is not the limitations of the researcher. Research limitations means to what extent you are limiting your data. For example, there are only 3 limitations in the world, research limitation. One is limitation as to sample. So the research is limited to the case study of Infosys and 400 managers of Infosys. Correct? This is called as limitation as to the sample type and size. Then limitation as to geographical area. The study is limited to the Infosys from Pune only, India, Pune. And the third limitation as to time. The study is limited to the time period in between 2024 to 2000, for example, 2024 to 2025. But for your project, you will say the study is limited to the time period in between so and so month to so and so month 2024 or 2025. Correct? So look at those limitations of previous research studies. So when you will read any research paper related to your topic, for identifying variables, you read the matter. But for finding the research gap, focus where? What they have written as limitation. Now, when they are writing, suppose, Infosys, you go ahead with some other company. When they are talking about so and so time period, the gap is the research was done in so and so time period. For example, pre-COVID, now it is post-COVID. Correct? Shortlist the further research opportunities, that is the research gap, and then draft the hypothesis. Okay. Regarding this, I will show you the one research paper regarding understanding these gaps and reference material and limitations, and basically bullet number 4, database and how to shortlist that. Okay. So in the step 3, research gap and hypothesis. Challenges during literature review. What challenges you may come across that we are going to study. First challenge, and the very important challenge, very dangerous challenge, is the challenge that I have told already. Information jungle. Correct? Or information highway. But that will come in due course. Number 1, over-reliance on low-quality sources. One mention is blogs and only magazines, daily articles. This is not supposed to be the strong base of literature. It doesn't mean blogs and all that are not important, but they are in the day-to-day language. Their language style, the language style of newspaper essays or some magazines essays is different. Basically go for books and research papers. And along with that, so 80%, 75% should be the books and research papers. And the remaining can be these blogs and other writings if you come across. See. More skeptical, less skeptical. So go for more and more to right and less to left. Right? Lack of landmark and seminal literature. Seminal literature means the basic literature. Generally, it is understanding these days for the researcher that only the recent literature must be studied. It is mandatory that you study the recent literature. Recent literature here means the literature in the last 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Don't go much earlier. But this point says, if you are, and generally your topic talks about some basic concept which is evolved many years ago. So if you are talking about motivation, you have to talk about motivation theories which are developed more than 50 years back or around that. That is seminal literature, landmark literature. So you are to give references, you are to review that literature also. Number 3 is lack of current literature. Okay. Compare and contrast. So current literature more and some seminal and landmark literature as given in point number 2. Number 4, description instead of integration and synthesis. When I mentioned precise writing and command over language, I'm not talking about command over language while talking. Your language proficiency. Then this will not be a challenge for you. Many times in literature review, it is found that he says this, she says this. They go on giving references of the research papers one by one. It is just a list. What you need to do is to integrate that, and it should go around your objectives and title. So synthesizing and all that is essential. Irrelevant or unfocused content should be avoided. So your eyes throughout your research should be on 3 things. Number 1, your title. Number 2, your objectives. Number 3, your hypothesis. Consistently, time and again, you are to look at that so that this challenge won't happen. Poor chapter structure or layout. This chapter is chapter about literature review. That chapter, how to write, we will see that afterwards. And plagiarism and poor referencing. Plagiarism, you understand. Chori, Wangmai Chaurya. That means you just copy paste the material for the review purpose. It will go for plagiarism. For literature review, plagiarism percentage allowed is comparatively more than other contents of research, but still your skill in language, text editing, and many other forms of English language are there, which helps you in removing that challenge. So this was about challenges in literature review. So step number 4 and 5, collecting the data and organizing the same in meaningful groups. 1 minute. We will go back afterwards. By now you know from where the data is to be collected, but still in detail. You are to go from general information to the specific information, from macro to micro, right? So general information, conceptual information, data, number-wise, information, government, non-government information, encyclopedias, dictionaries, and number is there. You just go through. Giving few seconds for you to go through. The use of how many of these or which of these will depend on the nature of your research. But of course, even though you are doing your research for your research project here, for your diploma, of course, when you use more and more of references, your literature review becomes more and more trustworthy and important. This is some information. These I won't share in the PPTs because when I take the ready-made slides. When I do PDF, this gets cut. So I will delete it. This is available on Google. So primary sources, secondary sources, and tertiary sources. For example, dictionaries, encyclopedias, handbooks, manuals. These are called as tertiary sources. And you know by now primary and secondary. Which kind of secondary data literature is good for what? Again, this is from Google. You may take the screenshot if you want. Okay. So collection of material. By now you know all this. Collecting the data and organizing the same in meaningful groups. So you can collect the data through secondary data, and you are to collect the data through primary sources also. That is observation, interview, and survey. For this observation and interview, we have 4th unit, and for survey, we have 5th unit, 5th module or session. Secondary data, we are right now doing. Literature review means we are talking about secondary data. Okay, done this. Now analyze the data. So you collect the data, secondary also and primary also. Just now we have seen how to analyze the secondary data. You do that through literature review and all that. Now analyzing primary data. Primary data methods, by now it must be learned by heart by you. Observation, interview, and surveys. Correct? Observation and interview data, that means information that you have collected yourself, is not to be analyzed through statistical methods. Broadly, it is analyzed through human method. That means you are to do synthesizing and all that. If you have huge observation tables and you have good amount of data in the form of minutes or seconds or tick marks or question marks, and n number of such observations are there, you definitely go for statistical analysis. So data and statistics, the right side image I am at that. You can use any kind of statistical tool, but as you know, when you have a toolbox, you want to use the tool for the specific purpose. So through average also hypothesis can be tested. So you use mean. If you are to go further, standard deviation, then correlation, t-test, p-value, chi-square test. These are various tests that are available in statistics. You are to use graphs also, but when you use too many graphs, when you use too many or highly high level of statistical tools, it is generally understood by us that you are hiding something. And you are hiding your research inabilities. That when someone makes the heavy makeup, that means certain flaws are to be hidden. Same way, some flaws of research when are to be hidden, overdose of statistics is done. But analysis with the right tools and techniques of statistics helps us in having our findings and conclusions, which will lead to decision making. So right analysis with the right tools and right interpretation is essential. Now this number 6 is given as number 7 in your material. Number 7 is this. Deduce the findings. This is given as 6 in your literature, but I have put the sequence right, because without interpretation, you can't come to the findings. So therefore, I have put the question mark. In your material, it is given as 7. I have taken it as 6. So data analysis and hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing is a standing format for assessing statistical evidence. If you are not expert in statistics, don't worry. Give your data to a statistician. If data is big, statistician is very professional, pay for that and do your interpretation yourself. So right from data entry to analysis, graphs and everything as you require, the statistician will give. In the company, if you are doing your research, obviously there will be different experts in your team. So statistician will do that job. Okay. So technically, statistically, hypothesis testing is to be done after the data analysis. So by and now or before this also, you must be knowing the difference between data and information. Information is the processed data. Data is of no use if you don't sort it, if you don't rightly arrange it. Rightly arranged data becomes the information. And this is meaningful for you. And you understand it very easily. Understanding the data is confusing, difficult, ambiguity is there. So your job in the previous literature, research process regarding literature, huge literature is available for you, that is data. Selecting the right one and then writing the literature review becomes the information. So hypothesis testing helps in decision making. Because when I say you are intelligent, for proving that when I collect the data through secondary sources, so your intelligence in right from your college or 12th, 10th marks, I will have to decide which I want to take. Then your career related data, what additional education you have taken, that data. So your secondary data, right? And then primary data, which I will collect with the help of your interviews, with some survey, questionnaires and all that. That will help me making a statement whether you really intelligent or not. So from that, broadly the hypothesis may be tested. Still, for intelligence, I may have taken, suppose 8 variables. It may be found that you all are intelligent in 6 variables, but your intelligence is weak on 2 variables. So broadly, hypothesis is tested, my research is complete. But now what is decision making here? On 2 elements of intelligence, which is essential for a professional, you are weak. So I will have to develop a training system and non-training solutions for developing those two variables on intelligence. Are you getting? So the importance of hypothesis testing is definitely there for decision making. This is a bit statistical, null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Again, this is the half of this is an image from Google. I will check whether it goes with PPT's PDF or not. So we are talking about research process. Now step number 7, which is given as 6 in your literature, deduce the findings. Findings are the interpretations. There is difference between analysis and interpretation. Remember, analysis is given in the form of number, data. So and so percentage of students are intelligent on so and so. This is analysis. Interpretation is majority of students are having competencies in so and so. Correct? Your interpretation, that is findings, should talk the same language of hypothesis. Correct? So data interpretation, and interpretation is a skill. Analysis doesn't require much skill. It is very technical. If I give you the same data and same analysis, and if I ask you to do the interpretation or give a list of findings, I'm sure, and this will happen everywhere, your interpretation of the data will not be 100% same. It may have differences ranging from 20-30% to 80-90%. Why? Because while we interpret, our conceptual understanding of the concepts used in research, the insights we have developed through literature study, all is very important. And again, the language proficiency. So interpretations are important. Okay. In the 5th unit, when we will study the quantitative techniques, there I will show you 1 or 2 research papers and I will show how interpretations are done. Okay, right now the theory. Okay, so interpretations and findings are broadly the same. Interpretations are done regarding each and every question that is asked in questionnaire and the data that is analyzed. So you may have, if you have 50 variables in your questionnaire, you will have 50 analysis points, you will have 50 interpretations. And these 50 you will combine and may give 10 to 15 as findings. We are talking about deduce the findings, and findings and interpretations have relation. Interpretations, I repeat, on each question of questionnaire, suppose there are 50 questions, there will be 50 analysis points, there will be 50 interpretations. These 50 interpretations converted as a gist in 10 to 15 are called as findings. You will get it more clear when we will study session number 5. And the last, number 8, conclusion and reporting. It includes suggestions that are given to the sample type. If you have done the study of Infosys training system, you will give suggestions to Infosys. Recommendations are given to other related stakeholders, which you have not studied. So you may give recommendations to the training department of all IT companies. This is called as recommendations, other stakeholders. Or you may give recommendations to the business excellence department of Infosys. You have not studied business excellence department, but still, regarding the training systems and all that, there are some non-training initiatives also, to which you are to grab the attention of business excellence team or HR department as a whole. Recommendations should be given to them. Then conclusion you have to do, and you have to give the area for further research. That you have done the research of Infosys only. The same study can be repeated for more number of companies, or you have done only one case study of Infosys. More research on comparative basis can be done of IT and manufacturing, like that. I was talking about literature review, remember? And some sources. I have told that just don't type on the Google and give the concept. Definitely you will get, suppose, research papers on intelligence. You will get if you just type that. But if you are to be more focused, there are some sites also, some sources also. So Google Scholar is there. EBSCO is also famous. Web of Science. These three are supposed to be very reliable sources for getting research material for literature review and developing your insights, your conceptual clarity, for listing down variables and all that. It is not just the research papers available there. You will find the right books also. You will find some articles, some PhD theses, some abstracts, some court opinions, and a number of things. So, how to write literature review? There are a number of ways by which literature review is written. Research paper is the content that will be taught to you after my 5 modules by someone else. Just to give the idea, because my content is literature review, some research papers are completely literature review based. And for this purpose, one of the methods these days popular is Prisma method. So Prisma method, for that, I will now stop sharing this and I will show you that research paper. I have shared it. Can you see it?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So it is a research paper on impact of leadership on organizational culture, a systematic literature review. The title of the research paper indicates that it is completely literature review based. No primary data has been used. So I will directly go to right. Prisma method. See what has been collected. Leadership and organizational culture. These keywords were typed. So Google Scholar gave 261 research papers, EBSCO 177 research papers, and Web of Science 123 research papers. Okay, going down. So this is the number. So total is 311. Okay. After reading abstract, you are to check. We have seen some limitations or challenges in literature review. Sometimes irrelevant are also reviewed. It shouldn't happen. For that purpose, before doing literature review, broadly your title, objective and hypothesis should be ready. So you know what you want to do and you know what you don't want to do. And therefore, you can see below 311. Screened after reading abstract. कितने बचे? Out of 311, 112 बचे. Excluded 199. Screened after reading full text. So 112 were read fully and excluded next. And कितने बचे? 41. Okay. And articles finalized and included in the study are 41. Now, these 41 कहाँ से आए? It is a table on name of the journal, and from that journal, how many are selected regarding your topic. So this is one of the ways of shortlisting the articles, research paper or whatever literature for your purpose. Now then those 41 are reviewed and see how the literature review is written. Citation is given in the bracket. And in this is the short citation. In detail citation must have been given at the end of the paper. So conceptually they are exploring first leadership, then types of leadership. Everything is done with the help of literature only. Then organizational culture. Then organizational culture and its measurement. What research already has been done. Leadership and organizational culture. Like this. Then some model is developed with the help of findings. And then conclusion. Area for further research. And here the citations are in detail. Yes, any queries?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any suggestions regarding conducting the session?
Ma'am, are we going to be doing any practical examples in the class?
I would love to. Need to check how the time permits.
Or maybe you can give us some homework and we can come back. I don't know if everybody wants it.
Everybody wants the homework?
Yes, that would be okay, ma'am.
Okay, it is voluntary then. Along with the PPTs of this unit, session 2 and 3, I will send one in the form of assignment. Okay, they call it as assignment, but this assignment is not mandatory. The assignment that is given by diploma office is mandatory, which carries the marks, but this won't carry the marks. This will for just for discussion.
Sure, ma'am.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay then.
Okay,
Shall we
ma'am.
close?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Yes. Have you taken that screenshot or a photo of that
That example
object
1, 2,
lesson?
3. Yes, we have taken.
Huh? So
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
you,
We have.
yeah, so you do the exercise on that. Okay. And we will discuss that in the class. Huh?
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Yeah.
Sure, ma'am.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.